about sometimes with the Biden especially, and I don't want to make this like a political thing, just this idea that maybe there were other people that were in his ear or making certain decisions that he might not have been privy to. Because if you spoke to him and he seemed like an amicable, nice guy who was understanding of what's going on, like, where's the disconnect here?
What's interesting in government, particularly on the federal level, people have their own agendas as well.
Andrew Schulz is shocked by Eric Adams' admission about government in this clip as Andrew Schulz sits down with New York City Mayor Eric Adams to discuss the migration crisis after even he realized that America simply cannot absorb millions of people, even though he runs a sanctuary city. So let's get into this clip with Andrew Schulz and Mayor Eric Adams.
Yeah. So, out of nowhere, we started getting in a large flow of migrants. Now, this is a city of immigrants. And it's a city that has always been open to immigrants. There's a reason that the Statue of Liberty sits in our harbor.
Sanctuary city, right?
Right. It's a sanctuary city.
Which is another separate issue. I think what you're saying, like culturally, migrants aren't like shocking to New Yorkers. I always tell people this, like, you can't even tell who the migrant is. But continue,
So we started getting in busloads, and
by design, right? Like this is political play.
It was coming from Texas, but it was the failure that we didn't secure our borders. We were allowing everyone to come into the country with unsecure borders, many gang members, very dangerous. When I went down to Ecuador, Colombia, and Mexico to look at the flow, there was a place called the Darien Gap. So I went down there to see why people coming and try to explain to the government that New York City, the streets are not paved with gold. Because everybody thinks you come to New York City, everything is fine.
Yeah, it's paved in rat shit.
Right. right. So
that might be a delicious meal.
Don't gross me out.
Be careful with that one either.
Don't gross me out. I'm still grossed out.
It's vegan.
Okay, go ahead.
And so people got upset because they said, man, what you doing? You letting everybody come into the city, you're paying for them.
Very reasonable.
Right. So what people didn't understand, I couldn't stop the buses from coming in. The federal law said you can, Eric. I couldn't even allow them to work. The federal law said you can't even allow them to work. And a group of migrants and asylum seekers came to me and said, listen, we want to contribute to the city. Let us remove graffiti. Let us clean the streets. Yeah. Give us a stipend. Federal government said, you can't even do that. And the city law says everyone that comes here, you must give them 3 meals a day. You must house them.
That's the sanctuary city law.
Right.
But that wasn't built for migrants. It was built for our homeless population.
Exactly.
Exactly. Hoping that you would take people from the homelessness, going through a rough time, and then they would be housed.
Without a doubt. Over 40 years in existence.
Yeah.
And so
it's kind of unfortunate that was taken advantage of like that. And it was done, in my opinion, and I'd like to hear your opinions, but I think it was like a political tool specifically done to make more liberal-leaning cities seem uninhabitable.
Yeah, and I think the message was, because it should not happen to, when I went down to El Paso, they should not have had to have gone through that.
No,
Brownsville, Texas, right. No one should have
growing up in Texas, they feel like New Yorkers, LA, whatever, they judge you a lot, especially New York, but y'all don't deal with what we deal with. Now see how you like it.
I
don't know if that's, I agree with it.
I think that's fair too. It's like a lot of times New Yorkers or even people in like different parts of California, but like these coastal elitist cities, they're just kind of like, just don't, building a wall is bad, don't secure the border, how dare you? And it's like, we're not dealing with it, so who are we to say what the issue is?
And so where they went wrong, where the governor of Texas went wrong, is that we were saying, hey, we hear you. Let's collaborate together and send that message. Not just, listen, I'm not going to punish another municipality because the federal government is screwing up. So when we reached out to them and said, listen, we're on the same page with you. Your city should not be going through this. Let's get together. Let's work together. No, I just want to.
So now this is the dunk culture we're talking about. Right? Instead of having that dialogue and you coming together. And I think at that moment, you were like a surrogate in the Biden administration. Like you were somebody who was like working with them. You were hand chosen, by the way. It's not like everybody's a surrogate.
Right, exactly.
You want one of the most powerful positions in the country, the mayor of New York, on your side if you're the administration. So you're like, if you go and extend yourself to a conservative governor and say, let's work together, and they go, no, thank you, we're going to send the buses.
Exactly.
That's some cornball shit.
And so, I don't like wheels. I'm not a fan.
And so we lost we lost an opportunity, because when I went down to El Paso and I saw people sleeping on the streets in airports, I said, this is not right even for El Paso. My position was no city should take on a federal responsibility, and that was my advocacy. I went to Washington 10 times, to speak with the lawmakers. I met with the president twice, President Biden twice, around this issue, and his people were giving him misinformation. They were not being honest to him.
Who are his people? Who are his people?
There were several people who was close, that was in charge of this issue, that was supposed to be giving him the right information. And I told him, I said, Mr. President,
maybe they told him and he just forgot. He's a little old. You know what I mean?
It's possible. But I'm just curious about these people, because that's what we've heard a lot about sometimes with the Biden administration. And I don't want to make this like a political thing, just this idea that maybe there were other people that were in his ear or making certain decisions that he might not have been privy to. Because if you spoke to him and he seemed like an amicable, nice guy who was understanding of what's going on, like, where's the disconnect here?
What's interesting in government, particularly on the federal level, people have their own agendas as well. And there was so much going on back then of people pushing back on the concept. There's some people with a philosophy that our borders should be open and any and everyone should be able to come in no matter what. I don't believe in that
as part
philosophy.
of government?
Right. Here's what I said to the administration. I said, listen, no one should, right now, people were coming into the country, not knowing anyone in the country, not knowing where they're going. I said, listen, in our country, we're having population problems. There are a lot of cities that are dealing with population issues. Let's tell people, we're going to tell you where you're going to go for 3 years. If Kentucky needs people to be backstretch workers to racing and work in the racing industry, you're going to Kentucky. After you do your 3 years, then you can go anywhere in the country and apply. This way we're connecting your need to be in America with the need that America needs.
It's a fantastic idea.
And we're controlling the flow. You're not coming in if you're part of a gang, which they were doing. They say, hey, the border's open.
Let's go.
Now, folks, I don't know if you caught it, but did you see Andrew Schulz's face when Eric Adams literally told him that there are people in the federal government who believe that our borders should be completely open and anybody should just be able to walk across? Like, he literally had a stunned look on his face. And I think there's a lot of people like Andrew Schulz who may not believe that there are people literally in the government who don't believe in any borders at all. It wasn't an accident that all these millions came over. No, they just don't believe in it. It shouldn't exist. Anybody should be able to come in freely. There should be no national sovereignty at all. These are the globalists within our government that are taking over. Well, not anymore, but are tried to, like Biden, like Kamala, and all these just evil dregs from the left who don't care about America's sovereignty and just see it as a function of the New World Order. Now, I'm not saying I believe Mayor Eric Adams like too much. Like, I still think he's kind of gaslighting in this by saying like, oh, we reached out and all this stuff. Like, New York has been a sanctuary city openly for illegal immigrants for years. They've said it before, along with plenty of other cities. This is nothing new. But now he wants to say like, oh, it was only for the homeless. That's not what y'all said. That's not what the left said. So you're going to see a lot of this from people on the left trying to rewrite history and cover up all of their mess ups in the past that ultimately led to the very problem that we're having now. But to see Andrew Schulz honestly surprised by people in government who actually believe that we should have no borders. Yeah, I mean, that's what it is, folks. Like, these people are a threat to American sovereignty, and Trump and everyone else needs to get these folks out. Leave a like if you're enjoying the video, and let's get back in.
The timing of it, the leaking, the public embarrassment and humiliation. They were leaking information, part of the case. They were just leaking it out. Grand jury testimonies are supposed to be private and secret.
And then all of a sudden they start
ended up in the same paper over and over again. The New York Times, over and over again, over and over. So. And a lot of people never read the indictment.
Of course not. But anyway, keep going.
Yeah, they never read the indictment. The whole premise of their indictment. I was the borough president at the time.
Yeah.
The Turkish embassy was going to open. The president was coming.
Yeah.
And they were going through the bureaucracy, the madness of it.
If you've ever built a thing or renovated in this fucking city.
Right.
Yes, yeah.
And I ran on the platform that government must be more fluid and it can't be bureaucratic.
Yeah.
I called the fire commissioner and say, can you at least go do an inspection? Can somebody go do an inspection so that they can see if they can pass their inspection? And I said, if you can't do it, let me know and I'll manage their expectation. All of this is in the indictment. Let me know and I'll manage their expectation. I didn't tell them to go past them. I didn't tell them, go past the rules, ignore it. I said, no, just go do a darn inspection.
Yeah.
The guy's asking for an inspection.
Yeah.
So they said, well, you know what? The federal government said, well, they gave you upgrades throughout the years, and we're going to attach that to when you call them and say you were bribed.
Upgrades on a flight.
On a plane, on a plane, and say that you were bribed. They use all of these numbers
for upgrades.
Right.
So you buying a regular coach class ticket, but the fact that you get bumped up means you in their pocket. 100%.
Exactly.
Okay.
Why did you get bumped up? Because I need to know that secret.
Who hasn't flown? Who am I missing? Who hasn't flown and said, I mean, tell me someone who hasn't flown and said, hey, I see you got an empty seat in business. You know what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah.
You know, but to take down a sitting mayor of the largest city in America.
Yeah.
And then when you looked at the text messages that were leaked a few weeks ago of them talking about it, and hey, you know, the U.S. attorney, he may have a political agenda here. Right. They found their text messages and their communications.
So it exposed their
Yes.
and that gets leaked by whom?
No, the judge ordered it to be released.
Yeah,
right.
Oh my
the judge
God.
ordered it to be released. But
Now, like I said, folks, I don't believe Mayor Eric Adams. Really, he's gone back and forth over all sorts of things. However, I will admit that I thought it was very interesting that, all this stuff came out about him right after he started criticizing, the whole migration and border problem. For better or worse, all of this got thrown at him right after the fact. And he could be guilty, but you know what? The people coming after him, you know what? They're guilty too. They're all guilty. They're all crooks. They're all, undermining each other for their own efforts. And this is just the left being messy, getting caught up in all of their own political and personal designs of their own choosing. And now they're just falling apart as Trump is taking over. And now they don't have a choice but to go along with the new narrative. But folks, let me know in the comments, do you believe Eric Adams is corrupt or not corrupt? Personally, I'm going to bet, if I was a betting man, that he probably still is. But anyway, I want to know what you think, folks. Thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments what you thought about what Andrew Schulz had to say about Eric Adams, about all this migration crisis, and the fact that he's actually surprised that, government doesn't believe in borders, or at least some of them do. Thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, take care, and I'll see you on the next one.